This is Rachel, and today I'm doing a video on a scripture I came across recently that in the New World Translation, Jesus is Jehovah. The passage I want to look at is 1 Corinthians 10, verses 4 through 9. I'm actually only going to look at verses 4 and 9, but you're welcome to read the verses in between to make sure I'm not changing the meaning in any way. We already know that the New World Translation often inserts Jehovah into the New Testament for the Greek word meaning Lord. But here they actually insert Jehovah for the Greek word Christ. But before we get to that, let's start at the beginning of the passage, 1 Corinthians 10:4. In the New World Translation we read, "And all drank the same spiritual drink, for they used to drink from the spiritual rock mass that followed them, and that rock mass meant the Christ." But if you read the same passage in the New King James, "And all drank the same spiritual drink, for they drank of that spiritual rock that followed them, and that rock was Christ." So there's a little bit of difference here. Rock mass meant the Christ as opposed to the rock was Christ. If we look at an interlinear, we can see here, "For they drank of that spiritual rock, Petra, that followed them, and that rock, was Christ." When you look at Petra in the Strong's Greek dictionary, you see rock, cliff, ledge, crag, stone. So it doesn't say rock mass, but that's okay. Let's go on. If you look at N from the Strong's dictionary, it means was, had been, were. I don't really see meant. So you have to ask, why rock or rock mass? And when you look at Psalm 18:31 in the New World Translation, "For who is a God besides Jehovah? And who is a rock except our God?" And again, 1 Samuel 2:2, "There is no one holy like Jehovah, for there is no one but you, and there is no rock like our God." Jehovah is called the only rock about 20 times in the Old Testament. So at this point, I hope you ask yourself, why does the New World Translation translate rock as rock mass when it refers to Jesus and is as meant? And then an even bigger question is, in Exodus 13, verse 21 through 22, who was the rock that accompanied the Israelites? And why does Paul say that rock was Christ? If you look at 1 Corinthians 10:9, this is where it gets really interesting, because if you look at the New World Translation, "Neither let us put Jehovah to the test, as some of them put him to the test only to perish by the serpents." But then we have the NIV. "We should not test the Lord, as some of them did and were killed by snakes." But then we get to the New King James. "Nor let us tempt Christ, as some of them also tempted and were destroyed by serpents." So we have here the NIV, Lord can either refer to Jesus or Jehovah, depending on the verse. But we have the King James, which says that it's Christ. So let's look back at the Old Testament. Who was put to the test in the Old Testament that we can understand? The verses they're referring to are Exodus 13, 2 through 7, which part of it says, "Why do you keep putting Jehovah to the test?" And later, some of these people that put Jehovah to the test were killed by snakes in Numbers 21, verses 5 through 6. Now, if we look at the original Greek manuscripts from the New Testament, we have the Nestle Aland text, the Textus Receptus, and the Byzantine Greek text. They are all in agreement on how this text is rendered. And here is the translation, with the Greek on the right and the English on the left. "Neither let us tempt Christ, as some of them also tempted and were destroyed of serpents." So the word we have there is Christos. Can Christos ever be translated as Jehovah? Christ, anointed, Messiah, Son of God. So I think Paul's trying to say here that Christ was tempted by the Israelites. So at this point, I hope you ask yourself, why does the New World Translation translate Christ as Jehovah? And is the Watchtower admitting that Jesus is Jehovah by doing so? And just to let you know, I got the interlinear Bible clips from www.studylight.org. Another excellent interlinear Bible online is the Blue Letter Bible, and they have access to the Strong's Dictionary from there, so you can look up these things if you're in doubt. Again, as always, I hope to hear from you, and I enjoy to receive your comments. Thank you.